Hello everyone, Joy here, and it's finally that time to make a video talking about my piercings. I've been wanting to do this for so long, and just a whole bunch of other ideas and other things got in the way. So I'm really quite happy to be doing this now. So yeah, before I do talk about the piercings that I have currently, I want to start by talking about the piercings that I've had that I no longer have because of various reasons. So, for instance, my left nipple, I used to have it pierced in a horizontal fashion. I now have it pierced in a vertical fashion. But when it was pierced horizontally, it was, well, it was weeping a little bit, blood and gunk, and it refused to heal no matter how much I cleaned it. So I took it out, and now I have re-pierced it, and I'll explain more about that when I actually come to it. But yeah, that one no longer exists, quite sadly. My eyebrows, I've actually had several times I've had my eyebrows pierced. Most recently was this side, and in fact I will incorporate a clip of when I did have it done, like a little close-up clip, like here. So future editing me, insert clip here. So that was actually the fourth time that I've had an eyebrow piercing. The first time I had it done, I was about 16 and I had it done here. And then I took that out because I'd heard that it was better to have an eyebrow piercing behind a scar. Turns out that's not true, because when I had it re-pierced, it just did not want to sit properly. It got in the way quite a lot, like brushing hair and things like that. So it just didn't want to work. So after I took that one out, I then had the tattoo over the scar to sort of hide the scar, and also because I wanted a facial tattoo that wasn't too obvious and was quite subtle and like blends into the eyebrow. You can't really see it very well at the moment. You can see it a little bit, but it is hidden under a layer of white grease paint at the moment. So it's not as prominent as it could be. I will do a separate video about my tattoos in future, but for now I'll just stick to piercings. So that was the two times I had my eyebrow done on the left side. Now then I had it done on the right side, my right. And it was fine, it was great, it was lovely. But I ended up getting in a hairband accident. It was a bit of a casualty victim of somebody else putting a hairband on me, a bit too rough. And after that, it just refused to heal properly. So, that I eventually had to take that out. And then my most recent one, it just grew out really quickly, which is quite sad because I wanted to keep it. But after 4 attempts, no more. No more tries. I think it's surface piercings just have a habit of growing out in some cases, and that's just one that does not want to stay. So there's that. I also had, fairly recently, I had my cheeks pierced, like here and here. And that was a really bad experience because the first time I had it done was with bars that were way too short. The swelling overgrew the bars, and I ended up having to go to A&E to have them removed because I couldn't do it myself. It was horrendous. It was really bad. I ended up having them redone with longer bars, and found that they just got in the way of my teeth, of eating. And, you know, you can't really survive very easily without eating. So, did not like how they sat. So I now have these like fake dimples. The in my ear here, this is called a forward helix. This part, I used to have that pierced, and that also it was too close to the edge, and it kind of looked like it was growing out, so I wasn't too happy about that. The other one that I have had that I no longer have is a down below piercing, and I'll come to that later in the video. But right now let's talk about the piercings that I do have and the piercings that I want to have in the future. So we'll start with my left ear. I have 8 piercings in total in this ear. 3 of them up here in the helix, or as some people call it, cartilage. 4 piercings down here in the lobe, and 1 in the tragus. And that one, oof, it hurts so much to have a tragus piercing, like pushing the needle through, because it's such stiff, like it's not flesh, it's cartilage, and it's so stiff to like push the needle through. But once it was through, it popped through, and that was it, no more pain. It also got infected a little bit not long after I had it pierced, and I found one of the things that works really well with piercing infections is tea tree oil, because it has a natural antibacterial quality to it, which is really cool. Now, as you can see, I also have these 2 are stretched. This one here is a 6mm. This one here is a 10mm. Don't ask me what that is in, you know, the other measurement. I do not know. I think it's called gauge. I do not know how to convert millimeters to gauge. Sorry. But this one is 6, this one is 10. Let's take a look at my right ear now. I also have 8 piercings in this ear. If you're keeping score so far, that makes 16. So we have 3 in the helix up here, again, and 5 in this lobe here, and this one is the only one that is stretched. I will insert a clip for your convenience of me showing how I stretched this lobe, and like all of my piercings that I have stretched, I have done with the adding an earring method. So put something else in, leave it for a couple of weeks. Put something else in, leave it for a couple of weeks. Put something else in, leave it for a couple of weeks, just to slowly build up and stretch. Stretching is something that must be done slowly. Cannot not stress that enough. It takes a while, but it's worth it, because you end up with something that turns out really nice. You don't end up ripping your skin or having blowouts or anything like that if you go slowly. Okay? Now this one is a 14mm. So we have 6, 10 and 14. I really love the like symmetry of the you know, gap of 4 and then a gap of 4 again. I think that's rather nice. So that's the ERs there. I hope that that's good enough to see. Let's now move, oh, right, before I do, I do in fact want my conch pierced here as well, which is this part of the ear. But that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So let's talk about the rest of the facial piercings. So as you might be able to tell, let's move closer to the light. I have 3 nose piercings, both nostrils and the septum. This one was in fact my first piercing. When I was 16, I started on my piercings journey, and haven't really looked back since. The mouth, I have this one obviously on the top lip here in the Madonna / Monroe position. I have this one here in the Lebrette position with a lovely big spike in it. I have the 2 snake bites here, and I also have, as a mouth piercing, this one in my tongue. Again, that's quite a few. I might get more in the mouth in the future, but I don't want to overload my mouth too much. And to be honest, I don't want to overload my face too much. I think I've got, like, plenty, I guess you could say. Okay, moving on down to my belly button. I also have that pierced. It's rather cute. I love it. I've had it for a long time. What I would like to do is to get another navel piercing in the future. And if I grab the bar here, I can show you so that it sits there. I would love to get another one done there. I would like to lose a little bit of weight first, but that's something that I want to do. What else? Okay. I would also like to get my nipples pierced more. I have 2. I have 1 in each. I will show them in a little bit, but not quite yet for a certain reason. And I also have below the waist pierced, just the once. I used to have twice, but one of them, it did not sit right, it did not feel right, it actually felt kind of itchy. So that, you know, I took it out. It just wasn't comfortable, but the other one I kept. It stayed. It's really, really good. So let's talk about that. Now what I have, it's known as a Prince Albert, or sometimes just abbreviated to PA. What that means is that I wear a ring, and it goes into the shaft of the urethra and then pops out underneath the meat, I guess you could say. And mine actually comes out on my right side of the frenulum. The one I had before that came out on the left side to complement the one that was on the right, but it wasn't positioned properly. It was a bit too, the first one was here, the second one was up here. It wasn't symmetrical, and it just didn't want to heal as a kind of result of that. So I'm going to show you now the jewellery that I wear normally. I've taken it out specifically to show you in this video. So this is a 4mm ring. It's that big when compared to the face. But yeah, that is what I normally wear inside my, you know, downstairs thingy. One other thing that I would like to do in future is get more downstairs piercings, because there's so much to do with this like long tube of flesh. You can stick them in anywhere and it's great. So I cannot show that particular piece of my anatomy on YouTube. Sad. I wouldn't mind, but I have checked the rules. I think I could actually get away with it because it would be for educational purposes, but I don't want to push it too much. However, I know for a fact that I can show nipples, so I'm going to do that in a little bit. But just to let you know that that's the situation with the downstairs, and that's going back in as soon as this video is finished. Again, I stretched it from it started as a 2mm, I stretched it to a 4, I did the whole add another ring, you know, kept adding rings and then leaving it, and then adding rings and leaving it. It turns out that piece of, like, part of skin is actually really kind of stretchy. It's really good for stretching. So yeah, that's almost all of my piercings. I am going to show the nipples in a moment. But if anybody doesn't want to see the NSFW stuff, then now is the time to stop watching. Just giving you that sort of preparation now, so that you know, you don't see something that you don't want to see, basically. But for anybody who does still want to see what the piercings look like, then I will show you. So let's start with the right. So this nipple started out as a 1.6. It's now got a 2mm ring in it, 2mm thick ring, and it's got this lovely sort of jewel in the ball there. And the left, my left, has this vertical bar through it, which is healed quite well. I mean, I've still got to keep it clean, otherwise it will start misbehaving. But yeah, I had the horizontal one in here and it just did not want to stay. So I'm really glad that I've managed to keep this vertical one in. And I would love to get more in the nipples. I don't think there's enough room because I think my nipples are kind of too small for that. The lesson that I've learnt from piercings is that never say never. Because I used to say, oh, I'll never get my tongue done. I used to say I never get, like, my bits done. So, yeah. And also, I would recommend a PA piercing to anyone who can accommodate a PA, because, oh my god, it's just aesthetically really pleasing, sexually really pleasing. Like, the thing that made me want to do it is the fact that I had, you know, a sexual encounter with somebody who had it was actually a reverse PA, which is where it comes out of the top rather than the bottom. But I felt it, and it felt really, like, I was intrigued by how it looked and how it felt, and it was just, you know, something that I really liked. And I thought, okay, let's try this, and haven't regretted it at all. So anyway, that's my piercings life story journey so far. I want more, and yeah, that's really where we're at the moment. So I shall see you in the next video. Hope you've learnt something, been inspired by something, or just found this entertaining in some way, shape or form. So see you soon. Bye.